shutdown initiated.
We're live. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Kyle from HospitalityMD. Thank you so much for joining us for this very special live stream event. Now, for those watching, let's start by telling us where you're from in the comments. Let us know where you are watching from. Can't wait to see where you're all at. So thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome in, everybody. I am excited as well. I will be a little bit more distracted than Kyle here because I am running tech for this entire operation here. So my eyes will be everywhere. But I am excited to be here and to share a few stories here with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. This production is probably one of the more involved things that we've done at HospitalityMD so far, and I know that it looks great for everybody watching. So let's give Greg a big round of applause for his efforts in making the show look great for everybody watching. Now, we have a great show planned ahead for you guys, so be sure to stay tuned, and we'll be covering our HospitalityMD story, starting from when Greg and I first met. We'll talk about our new business, born in the midst of the worst crisis ever recorded for the hotel industry. And we'll also hear from a very special guest, a friend of ours, former podcast guest, who is the CEO of Wise Pineapple and author of Yes is the Answer, Christine Trippi. Tune in to see how you can win a signed copy of her book, plus a 15-minute coaching call with Christine, where you can hear her 5 steps for sweet results. Now, we'll also introduce you to the newest member of the HospitalityMD team, who's going to be here to support the entire industry as we grow our company. Finally, one of the things that we've been so excited, and it's been hard for us to keep it from you, but we will be screening for the first time the trailer for our debut documentary here at HospitalityMD, which is going to be a feature-length film once it's done about the #1 DoubleTree by Hilton hotel on the planet and the people who make it so great. Now, we wouldn't screen this trailer if we didn't also bring you the man behind the hotel. So our second guest to close the show today will be the president and COO of Redding Hospitality Management, Craig Poole, who has been the single greatest inspiration in bringing HospitalityMD to the world. We look forward to providing you maximum value over the course of this event. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome back to HospitalityMD Live. For those who are just tuning in, don't worry, we're just getting started. Now, for those of you watching who have been following us, you likely know Greg and I from our podcast that we've been producing since 2018. Up until now, HospitalityMD was just a hobby that we used to stay connected and provide as much value as we could to our beloved industry that we love so much. While simultaneously working our hotel jobs, of course. Now, what many of you likely don't know is how Greg and I met and how our relationship has led us to this point to be starting our own business and taking HospitalityMD to a new level. So with that being said, we're so proud to share our story with you all today.
Yeah, so a little background on myself first. As a lot of you know, if you know me, started out at Hilton O'Hare, 860-room hotel, big box property, learned a ton about running operations. From there, I really took the chance on managing my own department, going out to Hilton Indian Lakes. Very excited to go out there. It was from what I saw, I think I had wool over my eyes, but it was a beautiful property, a lot of potential, really what I saw in that. and it was, they had two pools, they had six food and beverage outlets, tons of meeting space, a resort, like a place where people wanted to be, as opposed to O'Hare where people were stranded there all the time. So I was excited, to say the least. And then my first day, it was 2015, the day after Father's Day. I show up and I was told by my director of ops, we're happy to get you started. You are short staffed on front desk agents. You have 3 interviews today. We want you to hire a couple of them. And that was the beginning of my week. And that was actually the day that I met Kyle, who was the, honestly, you could probably say least qualified. You were a paper boy is your only experience at the time, 17 years old. But our director of ops thinks very highly of you, said you had something special. So I'm like, all right, well, we'll give him a chance, and brought him in. And we're 5 years later, and here we are.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think it's crazy how everything kind of panned out and worked out at the time, especially me when you're 17 years old, my first real job, working at the hotel I've essentially lived behind growing up all my life and driving past it and everything. Um, and you never expect that your first boss is going to end up being your business partner and one of your best friends. So for me, it was time for me to get a new job, or my first job. I have always loved hospitality deep down, but when you're 17 and you have the demands of school and all that other stuff going on, you forget about your enunciation moments back when you were a kid, and what you're passionate about sometimes. So my mom luckily knew, before I really knew, that I was going to love working in hotels. And one day I got a call from HR at Indian Lakes, and she said, "Hey, we want to interview you for the guest service representative position." And I was like, "What? Okay. I guess I didn't have no. I thought I was going to be working at a call center or something like that. I had no idea. It turns out my mom applied for like every open position for Indian Lakes, for me, and sure enough, I went in, uh, met with, before Greg was hired, the director of ops there, and was happy to meet Greg on his first day. And since then, we've done a lot, and we had a lot of successes. It was a great place to start a hotel career for me, and I think it was equally a great place for Greg to start as his first ever department head.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had a lot of successes pretty much right off the bat. Ever since the hotel was only branded for probably about half a decade when we got in there, and we were able to bring up the SALT scores, the service scores, to the highest that they've been, pretty much since they first were branded, which was exciting because the property hadn't been improved since then. So there was a lot of issues that we were dealing with such a young staff. They were all, I think one of my oldest GSRs was probably around 21, 20, I think, maybe. And then we had a bunch of 19, and Kyle being 17. So we did a lot with what we were working with out there. And it just, because everybody out there was passionate, it really, really justified and proved what we were thinking the whole time, is that you can run it with your heart as opposed to just running it by numbers. And it made a huge difference, I feel.
Yeah, and again, like for me speaking, my first ever hotel experience, the property, to say the least, was essentially dilapidated, to be quite frank. Lots of maintenance issues. And when you have a resort where the expectations are sky high, and those expectations maybe aren't met with the product, just in our team that had never done it before, except for Greg, we had a great leader in the front office. And with the rest of the hotel, which was essentially checked out, we were able, just as one single department, to transform that property, uh, to heights, just by caring and empathizing with the guests. Now, we from there, I had to. Oh, Shannon. Oh, yeah. I actually need to get a new mug, Shan, because this one has our old logo on it. Um, and I'm gonna get a new one with our new logo and everything. Thank you so much, Shannon. Um, So anyway, from
Powering
there,
off.
you know, it was time for me to go to college at that point, and uh, I ended up going
Powering
to
on.
college for a semester or something
Mic
like that. And I
off.
worked at a corporate managed Marriott Convention Center hotel in the town that I was going to school in, and it got to the point where I already knew I wanted to work in hotels. It was decided. I knew what I wanted to do. So I thought to myself, why am I going to be in the middle of nowhere, Iowa, going to school uh, for something I don't even care about when I could come back to Chicago, play with the big dogs, and really start my hotel career? So since then, all in all, I've had the opportunity to work in full-time and task force capacities at 9 hotels in 4 states, uh, all the way up to 1,200 rooms, and it's been a rewarding career. Now, Greg and I actually did get an opportunity to work together yet again after I did come back to Chicago, and that was at the Witt Hotel, where Greg and I have worked actually multiple times as I've left and come back, and so on and so forth. But the first time I was there, Greg came to me with an interesting idea.
Yeah, I was listening to a lot of Gary Vee back then, and he was really pushing for people to start podcasts, and for a little while, I actually did have a small podcast with my son called Backpack News, and it was fun for a while. I think it was going well, but it was just a lot of work for me to kind of do on my own because I think my son was 8, 7 years old at the time, so he really wasn't into researching news articles and writing up scripts and editing and all that stuff. So I had to do it all myself. But then I decided why not do it in a category that I'm more passionate about, and I have somebody that I work with that's also passionate about it. So went up to Kyle, say, hey, let's start a podcast about hospitality, and he was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, didn't even skip a beat. He was ready to go. So from there, we scheduled a meeting where we came up with the name and our motto: hospitality is everybody's business. Kyle can kind
Yeah.
of go from there.
Honestly, we were kind of going back and forth the idea for, when you have an idea for something, it goes through many stages. And for a while, we thought we were going to be like a self-help podcast um, for a hotel and hospitality people. So things like how to check somebody in, or how to make a bed or whatever. And not saying that we will never do that or that we haven't done things like that, but primarily, we decided that we wanted to tell people stories. So the idea came from Hospitality MD. We're going to help people, hospitality doctors. So Hospitality MD. And hospitality is everyone's business is kind of the multi-pronged philosophy. So that's our tagline. And that means, in one sense, hospitality is literally everyone's business. If you're a gas station clerk, you are in the business of hospitality. If you are a middle school librarian, for example, you are also in the business of hospitality. Whatever you do, be hospitable, and it will pay you back. Those pennies that you pay in hospitality will be coming back to you in dollars, in terms of um, your connection with humanity and even your business results. So hospitality is everyone's business is, number one, a very practical business philosophy. Number two, hospitality is everyone's business in the sense that you should mind hospitality. You should be aware of hospitality. You should embrace it. It's all encompassing. It's your business. It's yeah, that's more of a kind of philosophical one, but it's true in the sense that you should care, you should accept it, embrace it, and welcome it into your life. Now, since we've been doing the podcast, it's been very, very rewarding for us as we've worked our hotel jobs to be able to kind of meet people and combat that bureaucracy that kind of occurs in corporate run hotels traditionally, and be able to meet amazing people. In terms of, we've met with people from corporate offices for the big brands. We've met with award-winning general managers, big box GMs. uh, you know we met with an orthodontist who's just very hospitable, who's become a star on TikTok. um, and we've also very proudly have spent and value interviewing people who most people consider to be nobodies, that random front desk agent in the middle of nowhere, somebody who's just a mid-level manager at a random hotel somewhere who nobody knows of. We give them an opportunity to contribute to the industry, to provide value to others, and to build their personal brand, because the building blocks of our industry are not the companies or the president of companies and these big wigs. Granted, they are very important, but the foundation of hospitality lives in everyday interactions with regular people. Now, speaking of our podcast, one of the most inspiring and personally life-changing guests that we've had the opportunity to interview is Christine Trippi, who is our first guest on the show. I was first introduced to her book soon after it came out by my previous boss, who had a background with Marriott, which is where Christine is, her background is, and had heard about her book through the Facebook page, The Wise Pineapple. So I loved the book from the start and was inspired because she didn't write it as an all-knowing author or somebody who was better than you. She wrote it as the girl from Hoffman Estates, Illinois, which is right around where we're from, who just loves hospitality and wanted to change the world one yes at a time. So we're going to be playing a clip from her podcast interview that we did with her. And without further ado, enjoy the clip.
It was over the night audit shift.
Guess she's not here.
I went up to her room, 2 a.m, key doesn't work. So she comes down and the little front desk girl says, "Oh, sorry, I'll make you a new key," instead of really empathizing and all that good stuff.
I hate that.
I know. But you know what? We all do it. None of us are great at it because we don't practice it enough. So that's what you need to do in your huddles every day. Sidetrack. So she gives her a new key. She goes back up to room. It doesn't work again. Imagine how pissed you are. Okay. And I get it. I've been there. I'd be pissed.
It's almost a joke at that point. It's comical.
It's comical. But, she's in 3-inch heels. She's had this horrible travel day. It's 2 a.m. She's got to be up at 7 for her meeting, blah, blah, blah. So on our shift report, we get it emailed to us every night. Each shift would email it. And so, we have a guest alert on there. Anytime there's a guest alert issue, I want to know about it. First thing I do when I get in is I get right on it. I get Starbucks to-go container. I get bagels and donuts and, stuff like that. I show up to her office. First of all, I emailed her and let her know, the whole learn model. Okay, I empathize with her. I apologize profusely. I want to know what I can do. I show up at her office and she explains she's going into this meeting. And I said, "Can I bring you some treats? Your whole group."
Oh my gosh. I've never heard of anything like that before.
Right? Oh, I got stories for you. I show up at her office with to-go coffee, bagels, donuts, the whole 9 yards. We ended up getting a 10 from that guest.
Wow.
Okay?
I mean,
your life.
Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that clip from Christine from our podcast interview. Hearing that for the first time and kind of being able to speak with her about her philosophies was, like I said, life-changing for me. Now, we do have her scheduled to be on as a guest today. However, she's not in our Zoom waiting room where we can let her in to speak with us. But we do see you on the Facebook chats, Christine. So if you're watching, go to the email I sent you and click on the Zoom link to enter in. In the meantime, while we wait for Christine to join us, does anybody have any questions for myself or for Christine that we can answer for you? Let us know in the comment section right now. Oh, it looks like Christine is attempting to join us. So we'll give her a second here. But thank you all for tuning in. Coming up on the show, after we speak with Christine, we still have a lot of fun planned for this episode. We will be screening the trailer to our debut documentary film. You do not want to miss this trailer. It's going to be, I personally believe, and yes, I am biased, but I believe that this film will be something that everybody in this traumatized industry will be able to connect to, relate to, and will be able to provide hope to those in the industry. So be sure to stay tuned for that, along with our conversation with the man behind the hotel, Craig Poole. So that's all coming up on the show. We'll also be introducing you to our newest member of Hospitality MD, whom most of you have not met yet. And he is extraordinary, and you will certainly want to stick around to meet him.
All right, we got a question here from Lisa Ann. What's your favorite part of hospitality? Guests, hours, unpredictability. Jeez, words are hard today.
Say it again. What's the question?
She said, what's your favorite part of hospitality? Guests, hours, unpredictability?
So that's a great question. Favorite part of hospitality to me, and I think this is kind of a two-pronged situation here, because I love hospitality, but I also specifically love hotels. And I think when we're talking about hospitality, my favorite part of that is being able to relieve people's anxiety. I think is the most important thing. And it's very, well, it's not easy, but it's very, you have an opportunity to do so while working in a hotel environment. So for when a guest comes in and they're away from their family, they're lonely, they're tired, they've gone through this battle of just even that day of getting to your hotel. And it's always a sentiment, right? When you are traveling, and think back to your travels, if we can just make it to the hotel, if we just, that's our destination, that's our landmark point, that's our base point. And for everybody who works in a hotel, that's what we have to honor. We have to honor that sentiment that people have is, when I wake up in the morning to travel, what I'm already thinking about is, how can I get to the hotel? So with that being said, it brings me great pleasure and pride to be able to provide that comfort to somebody who's essentially in their most intimate state while they're staying with you. They're going to be naked in your hotel. I mean, truthfully, they're going to be sleeping there, vulnerably sleeping. They're going to be consuming food to sustain themselves and stay alive, essentially. So all of those components go into hospitality and relieving somebody's anxiety, making them feel comfortable so they can focus on why they're there in the first place. Christine Trippi, welcome to Hospitality MD Live. So glad to have you.
Man, I'm so glad to be here. I'm so sorry.
I was really having to fill some time there. You really put me on the spot. Well, thank you so much.
And the Google Meet.
Oh, okay. You know what? That's like perfectly understandable. Well, I'm glad that you powered through. You're still here. We're so pleased to present you to our viewers today. And thank you so much for making some time. You're coming at us from your hotel room, it looks like.
Yes, can you see? And I'm using the lights. I'm trying to get some light in here. I'm in Key West right now, so I've got my flamingos on.
Oh man. Well, you know what? I wish I was there right now. I'm gonna be honest.
I know, it's nice.
Which hotel are you staying at? Let's do a little shout out.
The Courtyard. Yeah, the Courtyard, Key West waterfront. It is awesome. I've been here all week. I've been consulting. I did my Yes is the Answer training. We have had a great week.
So even during a pandemic, when and during the worst crisis the hotel industry has ever faced, hotels are still seeing the value of good hospitality. Is that right?
Absolutely. And you know, this all happened so randomly. It was a great story, but it was so wonderful because, again, people recognize that, especially now, especially after this 9 months or so that we have been struggling with service and getting to reassess our service, and everybody kind of shut down. They put masks on and they got quiet, and all of our energy was taken from us. And now, you know what? We've learned how to do this. And guess what? It's time to get back to normal and get back to hospitality. And so, yeah, we were talking, the new general manager here, and I said, let's do this. And she's so excited. She's the whole team is whooping.
Now that's so important because, like I was just mentioning earlier, that we're traumatized as an industry. We're traumatized right now. We are battered. We're beaten down. Those of us who are still working have had to deal with challenges that nobody's ever seen in the hotel industry up until this point. And those who aren't working are feeling abandoned, disconnected, even leaving the industry altogether. So your work is heroic to this industry, to say the least. And I would also like to give props to that brand new general manager of this hotel who recognized an immediate and urgent need to bring hospitality back, to reposition his hotel for long-term, or her hotel, excuse me, for long.
And it is her name is Anissa Ford, and she's awesome. And again, it was a random thing. She was on my private group. We've never met or worked together. And she was coming into this new opportunity. She's an airport corporate general manager, and now she's in this all leisure. She just emailed me out of the blue, Christine, I need you. And I said, oh, honey, let's do this.
Well, before I ask you some other questions, while we're on the subject, where can our listeners who are requiring an infusion of hospitality, where can they contact you?
Oh, perfect. Well, best place to go is my website, which is www.thewisepineapple.com. But I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. I have my private Facebook group for hospitaliers. If you are interested in joining, you just find it, The Wise Pineapple, and request access. And this is just for people who are working in hospitality. So join us every day. My mission is to share positive energy and hotel know-how from the road to change the world one yes at a time. So yes, join us.
Awesome. Well, and for everybody listening, if you're not connected with Christine, you will not regret it. So certainly take the opportunity to do so. Now, Christine, your book really was the jumping off point to turn you into, speaking of which, it was really the jumping off point to push you into this influencer status, into this semi-celebrity status almost in the hotel industry, and really kind of put you on the map. But you've had decades of experience that kind of culminated to this book. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the inspiration for your book and how you felt the need for your book was at the time?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I write actually the whole origin story of it in the book, but I'm going to share a little bit with you because I don't want to go on too much. But I was just like you. I started at 17 in hospitality in high school. I was in the high school work program. And in 1 year after graduating, they promoted me to assistant general manager. So in 1 year, I'm 18 years old and I'm starting this grand career. And it was amazing. So the next hotel after that, I was the front office manager at the Crown Plaza Hotel. And it was the premier hotel in the Chicagoland southern suburbs. And it was just, So I wanted to just be the best. I was this eager leader that just wanted to be the best I can be. I wanted to run great teams and have great cultures and all of that. So I read this article, and it was all about this hospitality leader who went to dinner to celebrate a big promotion, and about how he was told no. And I'll make it short. You can read about it in the book. But once he realized how disappointed that was, he realized, that she could have gotten me what I needed. She could have been flexible, but she didn't. She chose not to be. So he took this to heart, went back to his hotel, and did a whole rally about how they're eliminating the word no. Well, after I read this article, I was so inspired, and I'm like, I'm going to do this too at my hotel. I want to have this kind of culture and this kind of service. So I did my rally. I hung up my pineapple milkshakes, and you'll get the reference when you read the book, and all of that stuff. And my team was totally on board. Well, what do you think happened? It wasn't that successful. They were pumped up for a few days. However, saying yes every time and never saying no is really hard. And I crossed the country consulting and training every week until the pandemic. And I'm helping leaders, and I see all the time signs in hotels that say, yes is the answer. What is the question? And that sort of thing. But then I'll ask the general manager a hard no question. And what do they tell me? Oh, well, unfortunately, I'm sorry. No. Saying yes is hard, and it's not enough to just tell people yes is the answer and hang up pineapple milkshakes or pineapple symbols. You have to teach them how to say yes. And at this time, at 19 years old, I'll be honest, I wasn't really sure how you say yes all the time to those hard questions. Hard questions like, I'm platinum, don't I get free breakfast? Those kinds of questions. So I really, through my career, I really focused on that. What is ultimate hospitality? How do you always say yes? And so I came to the conclusion that it really is all in 4 simple steps. And I put together a training, and I started to train my teams on this. Then as I grew in my role, I was training others. Then when I became the senior manager of operations for Marriott International, I started doing it across the country. And I couldn't believe the response and how many people were like, this has changed my life. This has changed not just how I work, but also what I'm doing at home. And I'm like, I need to share this with the world. So for a long time, I said, I need to write a book. I need to write a book. And it didn't change until I changed my verbiage. I will write a book. I will share this with the world. And so that's what I did about 1.5 years ago.
And that same sentiment, right, of that changed my life. I can't believe this. I will 100% say that same exact scenario that happened to me. I may have mentioned this on the podcast episode, but it's like, you know, philosophers and hoteliers for millennia have, pondered this question of how to be hospitable. And you really just put it into an easy to read book. You're not coming at it like I'm this big shot, all knowing, better than you author. You're just a girl from Hoffman Estates who just loves to be hospitable and change the world one yes at a time. And that's why you get the results. That's why your book is so great.
Thank you.
And again, I want to reinforce this because this is huge. Hotels and businesses in general love the idea of giving great service and love the idea of, saying yes to everybody and all this stuff. But then it's simultaneously eroded by, the inflexible policies or leaders who don't know how to train or whatever. So I definitely see immense value in what you're doing. Now, you mentioned you're the senior director of operations for Marriott Hotels. Now, that position for many would have been the dream job, right? It would have been great pay. At least I would hope so for the work you were doing. I would think it would have been like working for the largest global hotel company on the planet. Like you had made it, but you voluntarily left that position and went all in on the Wise Pineapple. Why don't you tell us why you did that?
Well, you are right. I constantly would telling people, oh my God, I would do this for free. I love my job so much. Everybody hated me because I love my job so much. I literally would have done it for free. If I was independently wealthy and didn't need to put food on the table, I would have done it for free. I loved my job. And I still love my job. So I did that. I was in that role for about 4.5 years. And from day one to day 4.5 years, I still loved my job. However, as I started to write the book and people started to call upon me, oh, we would love to have you at our hotel, or, oh, I would love for you to come do some consulting with me. And I want to do that. I want to change the world, not just one hotel or one brand. So as my exposure started to grow, those desires to expand again, to grow myself again. And that was very scary, because you were right. I made great money. I was working for a company I worship. Mr. Marriott and Arnie Sorensen are idols of mine. And again, I loved my job. Then to leave all of that security and notoriety, being affiliated with Marriott and everything, was really scary. It was really, really scary. So we were coming upon 2020, and 2020 vision. What's your vision for the future? And I decided my word was growth. I think we even talked about that about 9 months ago. What a crazy year. So I was hemming and hawing, and it was gut-wrenching decision for me to make. But I wanted to share with you, and this is so relative for what you guys are doing right now. There were 3 questions someone proposed to me and said, trying to make this decision, I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and maybe the answers to those will really help make you that decision. These are the 3 questions. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? You knew you couldn't fail, Christine, they said to me, and I'm saying it to you guys. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? I'm like, 100% I would jump. 100% I would put myself out there for the world. Then the next question is, what would you do if you didn't get paid? And I've been saying it for the past 5 years. I would do this for free. So it's something that it lights my fire, whether it's for pay or not for pay. And the last thing is, what makes you come alive? And nothing makes me come alive than what I did this week, and watching a room full of people go, oh, yes! 2 thumbs up on that. So after somebody presented that to me, I'm like, yes, let's just try it. I'm at a certain age where I'm just like, you know what? Now's the time. And if it doesn't work, I'll go get another job. I've got enough experience and and reputation and all of that, you know what? I'll give it 1 year. And if it doesn't take off, then I'll just go back into a corporate job. So here we are.
You can always get another job, but imagine the feeling in your chest, feeling of what if, the feeling of regret potentially if you are older and you're like, I can't do this anymore. Like, even if I wanted to, I couldn't, but what if I did? Where would I be right now? I love how you've eliminated the regret, the possible regret from the equation, because even if you fail, at least you're at peace knowing that you tried. And at least you're at peace knowing that along the way you helped at least a couple people, but at this point you've helped thousands of people and growing. So
and I'd love to share something with the listeners here, or anybody who watches a recording, because anytime I do a podcast type of thing, I always have to give some kind of value, because when I'm listening, if I don't learn something from I'm like, oh, that was a waste of my time. So I want to give you a couple things. One is just what I did with that situation. If you're scared, to overcome fear and to choose courage over comfort, here is a really great strategy. Let's just say we're going to get married, or you want to post for a job. Let's take that. Let's just say you want to post for a job, but it's a big job and you're a little scared about that. You're scared of the interview. I want you to do a this then. If I do this and they turn me down, or they ask me a hard question, think of all the things of why you're afraid. Write down all the reasons why you're afraid. If this happens, and then I want you to write out then I will do this. If I get turned down for the job, then I will ask some questions. What could I have done better? And I'm going to practice, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to get the next job. When you plan it in your head and you write out your fear and then what you can do to respond, all of a sudden it takes the true fear away. So for me, it was like, what if I jump and I'm not successful and I'm broke? Then I'm just going to get another job.
Right.
Then
right.
I've got, you know, so when you write that out, anything you're afraid of in your life, write out the fear of what you think can happen, and then put your then I'll pick myself up and start again. Then I will learn how to wear a mask and talk.
Over comfort every time. Now we did get a couple questions. If
Oh, good.
you can answer here. So Ahmed is one of our other podcast guests and a huge fan of yours, is asking if you have seen the movie Yes Man. I think that's
yes, and I love that movie. Jim Carrey's so funny.
You love the movie?
I love the movie. I love that movie.
Now, Kanak is asking, and Kanak is somebody that Greg worked with at O'Hare and I worked with at the Drake. Great friend, one of the best housekeeping professionals I've ever worked with in my career. Now, Kanak is asking, in your opinion, Christine, will the hospitality industry change post-pandemic? What do you think about that?
My opinion is no. And I'm the yes is the answer, girl. No, and this is what I'll say. People, I mean, there of course are going to be certain things that change, but ultimately I already see it's the same. Although I've traveled about 6 times maybe now, and I still see the same thing. I think people have gotten into this a little fearful, and they're behind these plexiglasses and masks and stuff. So we need to get everybody back to welcoming and the energy that we had before, but it's going to come right back. People are dying to get out there and travel and engage and connect. Businesses, you know what? We've seen that Zoom can work really great for all of our meetings and whatnot, but people are tired of it. You know what? Zoom's been around for a long, long time. We've known this works for a long, long time, but people still want to be in person. Now, there are some industries that have been hit tremendously hard, like ours. So I don't foresee maybe hospitality or hard hit industries getting back out there traveling a lot. They'll maybe use the crutch of virtual a little bit longer, but the businesses that have been successful during this time and haven't really struggled, they're going to get back on the road as soon as we're vaccinated and we're ready to go. People are getting engaged still. They're still having babies. They still want to celebrate. They still want to plan parties. In the most part, we might have a few procedural things that are changed, but we're not changing. We're not changing.
I love that. People still want to connect with one another. Hospitality is still alive, probably now more than ever, and the industry will be back before we know it. Now, Christine, I do want to thank you so much for being on the show with us and for your contributions to hospitality. I'll say it again, your efforts are heroic, and thank you so much for everything and for being the support system for hospitality.
Wait, and I need to take a moment before you close up or whatnot. I have to tell you, Kyle called me for this, and I said to him, I was working on really reaching out to some people to just say thank you, because thinking of Thanksgiving and everything. And I want to just tell everybody out there, little Kyle over here inspires me every day. Not that he's little, you know what I mean? But because he's younger than me. Kyle and Greg, they inspire me every single day. Every day they choose courage over comfort. They get out there and they don't care how many people are viewing. They're going to keep coming back and offering you great content. I love you two so much. And that's why I'm like, you need me, I'm there. I don't care if I'm in Key West, I'm in this room, and I'm going to talk to you and your followers because of how much you inspire me. Thank you, Kyle and Greg. Thank you.
You're the sweetest. Thank you so much, Christine. Well, we're going to hear later on. Stay tuned, everybody, to find out how you're going to win a signed copy of Christine's book, along with a free 15-minute coaching session where she will review her 5 steps for sweet results. So stay tuned. We still got plenty of show for you guys. Christine, thank you so much for being on with us.
Thank you, guys. Love you. Good luck.
Thank you. joining us on Hospitality MD Live. If you're just joining us, welcome. And we just finished hearing from the CEO of The Wise Pineapple and author of Yes is the Answer, and our dear friend, Christine Trippi. I'm feeling energized. I don't know about you guys. Christine always lights my fire, and it's always a pleasure to chat with her and just talk shop. So we're so grateful for her. Now, I do want to kind of continue on with our story a little bit and build up this narrative. So at the start of 2020, Greg and I were working together again. We were feeling so optimistic. Greg had just been promoted to assistant director of rooms at the Witt Hotel and was going to be leading the rooms division. I had actually come back to the Witt to take Greg's original job as front office manager. And we started the year with the goal to win Hilton's most prestigious award for a hotel, the Connie. After COVID-19 sucked the life out of the industry, right? Our original goal vanished, and we found ourselves both members of the tiny skeleton crew at the Witt. So we worked through the pandemic up until the combination of the extended financial burden of the pandemic, along with the severe damage that our hotel actually sustained during the riots that occurred over the summer in Chicago. Those two things combined temporarily shuttered our hotel. And unfortunately at that point, or fortunately now, honestly, looking at it as a blessing, but we were let go from our jobs and found ourselves in the same boat as millions of other unemployed hoteliers in the industry. And that was until Greg had the idea to turn Hospitality MD into a company.
Yeah, I was sitting home for a couple days after being laid off and just deciding like, oh, I guess this isn't too bad, but you get that itch to go back into work. So mine just started racing, and I just thought, there's probably a lot of hotels out there that are struggling with finding replacements or needing help temporarily. So I said, well, why don't we turn Hospitality MD into a business? Started off with thinking of, we can task force, we can go out, since Kyle and I both aren't working. So that gives us, 2 properties we can handle at a time and just start from there. Then it started to evolve into consulting and hotel management. And then it kind of brought us to where we are today.
Yeah, so with that being said, we're happy to present to the world Hospitality MD, Hotel Management and Consulting. Awesome. Well, guys, so what you're seeing right now is the Hospitality MD mission statement taken directly from the website. Now, I don't know how well everybody can see this, so I'm just going to read it for you guys real quick and provide some highlights. So coming straight from our website, Hospitality MD exists to reform how progressive hospitality is approached. With nearly 20 years of combined hotel operations experience from our co-founders, Hospitality MD is driven to revolutionize the industry with an insider's approach. Gone are the days of unapproachable management from the guys who manage from the peripheral. We believe the responsibilities of managing a hotel extend beyond, management. We choose personalization over procedure, radical authenticity over corporate indifference. Our impact lies in our unapologetic belief that hospitality thrives in learned experience. Hospitality MD drives results by valuing a hospitality-first approach in all levels of management. Team leaders weave their unique voice and experience in hotels into a shared familiarity enjoyed by each and every guest. And our results are dotted by moments of real connection between staff and guests, and encouraged by the trust between operations management and the guest services team. We reject the practice of managing from afar. Experience is our best asset executed through unconditional hospitality. Guys, we're done with the corporate indifference of traditional management companies and apathetic ownership. Just like Christine is fighting the plague of posters on the wall that say yes and be hospitable, we are as well. We know that there's a need for radical transformation in the hotel industry. back to a time when hospitality led the decisions we made rather than viewing our hotels solely as real estate investments. Now, we will be presenting a number of services as well, starting with consulting. So our consulting services are based on the premise that we will be in close proximity to the guests and the team. One of the main pain points that we see right now in the hotel industry are C-suite executives and people who've been out of the game of actually running the hotel for so long that, you know, they think that they can effectively manage from an ivory tower and make decisions that are going to be in the best interest of the team and the guests. And we are seeing that now, especially as hotels are complexing, teams are being downsized. We're seeing that there's a need for people who have built their chops doing it for real, being in the point of impact, being with the guest. And that's our philosophy in consulting. We will come in and establish a culture of operational excellence, service excellence, and hospitality to benefit all parties. Now, we are also a hotel management and receivership organization. So right now, with hotels struggling to meet their debt services and struggling for financial profitability, we believe that for a lender who needs to get their hotel back on track for it to be sold, we can actually transform that hotel that has essentially failed due to combined impacts of the pandemic, but more than likely also impacts of the combined negligence of hospitality. We will come in, lead from the heart with radical hospitality, making all of our decisions based on how can we impact the community, how can we impact our team, and how can we treat our guests with the utmost hospitality. And that is how the hotel will transform itself. So we're positioned to be appointed in receivership for any properties that are being foreclosed on. And we also would like to extend that service into long-term hotel management contracts, driving results by taking care of the community and being there for our team and guests. One of the main pieces that hotels offer, which is why I wholeheartedly believe that the hotel industry will never die, is because hotels are quite literally the centerpieces of cities and towns. Hotels are places where people go to be seen, where people gather. It's an important part of every single community. And the ironic part is the community values that importance, but the hotels typically don't value the community. We will make decisions for the greater good of the people we serve in all facets. And that is our philosophy there. Now with task force, we also, like Greg said, understand that there is a urgent need. We've been hearing horror stories of people showing up for interviews or people scheduled for interviews who don't show up. And people who are so burnt out, they need to take a vacation, but they can't hire somebody because the demand isn't there yet. Whatever the scenario is, we will come in and task force for any vacant position in any capacity that you have. And the key there is if you've ever hired task force at your hotel, you'll know that the success or failure of a task force consultant rides on their ability to build and maintain effective relationships with the existing staff members. This is something that is so widespread. You get a consultant that comes in who has, there's an inability to build a trusting relationship, which will mean that that person is only a warm body there and you're wasting your money. You are wasting your money if you hire a task force consultant who would just exist to cover the shift, to do this task, to do the work. HospitalityMD is there to build lasting relationships, bring our hospitality first philosophy into your hotel in that capacity, and do more than just the work. On top of it, we also ensure proper handoff to your new hire with complimentary hours of handoff between, so you have a seamless transition from task force to permanent fixture in your organization. You cannot afford to waste money on a task force consultant that has an inability to build meaningful and authentic relationships. That's where we come in. So with that being said, we are so happy to announce our suite of services here to bring you the utmost value and to lead the recovery of the industry. Now, with that in mind, we want to make it abundantly clear, just because we are opening a business and we're transitioning does not mean that we are going to stop doing our podcast, which is the foundation of Hospitality MD. And quite the contrary, actually. We are committed to leading the charge and continuing the podcast in addition to even more content. When we set out to start this company, we always said that we will be a media company as well, which is something that no hospitality company that I'm aware of on the planet is even doing right now. So with that being said, for most new companies, the first person they'll bring on board during the startup process is probably a CFO, maybe a VP of sales. And while we certainly understand the importance of those roles and look forward to filling those positions as our company grows, we recognize that opening a hotel management and consulting company during the worst crisis ever recorded for the industry will not follow the typical mold. Hotels are defaulting on their debt service. They are unable to pay payroll. So we know that it's difficult for everybody right now. So for us, it actually starts. Our first priority is to advocate for the recovery of the industry and keep the people who make this industry so special engaged, motivated, and most importantly, included as we recover and people start to come back to work. With that in mind, we intend to accomplish that through continuing our podcast, number one, and interviewing people at all levels of the industry. So if you're watching and you want to be interviewed and you love hospitality, let us know. We're always looking for hospitable people who want to share their voice. Now, we also intend to ramp up our efforts in putting out a variety of different content in the form of written word articles, YouTube videos, and film, among other things. Now, as much as I can talk forever, and I will, so don't get me started, but I would like to take this opportunity to introduce the newest member of the Hospitality MD family. Not a CFO, not a VP of sales, but our brand new creative director. Please give a hospitable welcome to the newest member of the team, Tom Groby. Tom, we could not be more excited to have you on board with us.
Thanks for having me, Kyle. I'm excited to be working with you again and truly humbled to be on board.
Yeah, Tom, actually, that's a great point. Why don't you let everybody know how we met and kind of highlight the importance of connections in hospitality? I think it's a cool story.
Yeah, absolutely. And feel free to take a look at my LinkedIn page. I made a post about it when we made the announcement online. But Kyle and I actually worked together before at a hotel property. He was my front office manager at the Hilton at McCormick Place here in Chicago. And honestly, we connected so well during our time together there. After Kyle left and went back to the WIT, he reached out to me knowing my background in media and film. And he was like, "Hey, Tom, I've got this thing going on." And I saw what he was working on. I loved it. Being part of the hospitality industry and the film media industry, I saw it as an excellent opportunity to just jump on board and roll up my sleeves and see what we can get started here.
Yeah, to me, the most it's almost like the stars aligned. Like we have somebody who has is a classically trained filmmaker and has a lot of the strengths that Greg and I don't have, being hoteliers. But Tom is also a hotelier himself, working the front desk. And I will say, when we worked together, Tom was leading the pack in positive name mentions and guest reviews. So if anybody knows hospitality, it is Tom. And if anybody knows film, it is also Tom. So
You're too kind, Kyle. You're honestly too kind.
And the results speak for themselves. I can pull out the receipts, man. We have those name mentions.
Yeah.
But Tom, why don't you tell us about your role here at Hospitality MD? I don't know if everybody's familiar with what exactly a creative director will do and how that will impact Hospitality MD and them as consumers of Hospitality MD content.
Thanks for bringing it up, Kyle. At this point, I see my role as a blank canvas, and that's why I'm so excited. Um, so at this time, my focus for the next number of weeks is to executive produce and get this documentary that we've been talking about delivered. Stick around, guys, for the trailer that's going to be at the end of this show, just prior to our interview. It's with Craig. It's going to be really exciting. But we've already started to put a team together, an incredible production team for the media projects that we're embarking on. Our media department will be a self-sustaining, high production quality, project generating department. Our plan is to have a robust media strategy, and my role is just to oversee and implement that strategy. And that strategy's purpose is to truly establish Hospitality MD as the #1 source of high quality hospitality content for the industry.
And I obviously couldn't agree with more with what you said. We're not leaving you guys behind, right? I don't care if you can afford to hire us for task force, for consulting, or if you want us to manage your hotel in receivership or otherwise. I don't care about any of that. Obviously, it'd be great if you did, but I understand that this industry is in a traumatized and damaged state. So with that being said, for those of you who've been laid off and have been ghosted by your management company, for those of you who are still working and in the weeds doing more with less, for those of you who are feeling more disconnected from the industry than ever, and even for those of you who have departed the industry but still just feel like a longing desire to stay a part of it because you've been there for so long, we are working for you to provide relatable, valuable, and insightful content from the hospitality industry. And we want to include you. Like I said, we have no bounds to who we will interview, who we will talk to. If you love hospitality, you're on our radar. So please follow us on all of our social media sites. You will not regret it. We are working for you at this point, for free, with no expectations. We want to provide the utmost value to the industry we love so much. Now, Tom, I just want to say thank you for everything. We're so much looking forward to this. And while we transition here, we are so excited. Stay tuned. Within the next couple of minutes, we will be screening our debut documentary trailer for the #1 DoubleTree hotel on the planet and probably the most hospitable hotel in the world. So stay tuned. Tom, thank you so much, man.
Thanks, Kyle. See you soon.
All right, guys, welcome back. I know we're going a little bit over the hour mark here. So for those of you who are still with us, thank you so much. We wanted to jam pack as much value as possible into this episode. So I appreciate you staying with us. If you're just joining us, you're right on time. We've got some great stuff planned for you. Now, there's a critical piece of our story that I did not touch on earlier. So immediately after Greg and I found ourselves without jobs, I reached out to our next guest, who we'll bring on here shortly. That's Craig Poole, President and Chief Operating Officer of Redding Hospitality. You know, after interviewing him on the podcast and hearing about him, at the Wit, which is a DoubleTree property, Greg and I we were winning awards, right? #2, second place. And we were always looking to see who keeps beating us. And we said, reading, what is this DoubleTree reading in the middle of nowhere? Well, when we did a little more research and we found out that it was led by Craig Poole and what he was doing, we said they deserve to be #1. And that is the DoubleTree Hotel in Redding, Pennsylvania. We're talking Reading Railroad from Monopoly. What was once a booming town is now the second poorest city with the second highest crime rate in the country. And Craig is making a difference there every day. So we interviewed him. I reached out to him when we got laid off and said, I want to come and learn from you. I want to see what you're doing. I need to know that what you're doing is practical and that it works. He said, call me in a week and we'll talk about it. Well, flash forward a few weeks later, and Greg and I pulled up to the hotel, and it was real. We spent 2 weeks getting to know Craig and the amazing people that make his hotel the best. when we got there, we figured we'd work alongside them, learn from what they're doing, and maybe get a podcast interview, maybe some cool footage for a YouTube video. When we left, we knew we had created a documentary film with an amazing story that deserves to be shared, especially now. So I could keep talking about it, I could keep you waiting, or I could just show you. So without further ado, Hospitality is proud to present the debut trailer for our documentary film, Point of Impact. Enjoy.
They're always running it for the wrong reason. They forgot why we're here. Because it's a corporation, because somebody's a president or vice president, doesn't make them the smartest person in the room. They're not at the point of impact. They're not at the center of influence. I work under the theory that everything happens right here.
The new census reckoning makes it the poorest city in the nation.
My mom used to say to me, young Rob, men stay in the street, women stay in the house.
When I got to myself, I said to myself, when I get out, I'm changing. I'm gonna land me a job at the DoubleTree.
Oh my God, now I'm on my own. I gotta make decisions by myself. I figured I got away from the foundry. I said, let me get into hospitality and had a loan in it.
Boom. Busted in, and I was looking to 5 and 10 years.
There were days when my cellie would be up there, and I would turn to the wall without allowing them and put the pillow over my face and cry, because I was in hell.
That's what hotels are. Hospitality, they're community. They're not just a cash flow. They're a major part of the community.
Craig has that hospitality stick in your car.
I have learned to love this city.
When you find a place that you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Nobody would come to downtown Reading. The crime, this, that, the other thing, and people did come to downtown Reading.
Wow. Am I right, guys? Let us know in the comments right now what you thought of that trailer. I don't know about you, but I'm so excited to bring this to life for you guys. We anticipate finishing the entire process soon, early into 2021. So definitely let us know what you guys think, and stay tuned for right after the show. We are going to be dropping it on our social media platforms for you guys to watch it again, engage with, and enjoy. Now, watching that really brings me right back to that hotel. We knew how special it was before we even walked through the doors. I'm going to tell you guys a brief little story before we bring Craig on. So on our day of arrival to the DoubleTree, Craig texted me and said, hey, let's meet for dinner when you guys arrive. And I texted him back, and this is granted while we were still in Indiana or Chicago. We were driving over there. And I texted him back saying, okay, we likely won't arrive until after 7 p.m. and just left it at that. That was the last we communicated before we met face to face. Now, I distinctly remember when we arrived to the hotel, the exact time on the clock was 7:47 p.m. on a Sunday night. And guess who was waiting for us outside? Craig. It instantaneously validated that he talks the talk and walks the walk. I don't even know how long he must have been waiting for us outside. I feel bad knowing that he was probably standing out there waiting all day. But it was a great introduction. He and his security manager, Luther, who you saw in the trailer, is actually a second chance hire. And we received the warmest welcome and warmest hospitality that Greg and I had ever experienced, ever. And that is why this hotel is number one. Now, after we heard from Christine Trippi, we told you to stay tuned how to win a copy of her book and a 15-minute coaching call with her. So to enter, all you have to do is once we drop this trailer is go on Facebook, go on LinkedIn, like the post, comment on the post, and share it using the hashtag point of impact and hashtag hospitality is everyone's business to be entered. If you do it on both sites, you get 2 entries. So be sure to go back and engage. We'll have more instructions on that later, but be ready to blast this out there to the hotel community because I know everybody will enjoy it. Now, to end the show, we'd like to welcome the man who gave us the confidence that the way we want to run the hotels can and should be done. And after welcoming us into his hotel to capture these stories, the amazing people who work with him. Please join me in welcoming to the show this generation's Conrad Hilton and the President and Chief Operating Officer of Redding Hospitality Management, Craig Poole. Enjoy this scene from our podcast clip.
You know that you're behind them. They will do anything for you. You can move mountains, and you'll make a lot of money. We do. We spend, for those of people out there that might be in the finance business, we spent $67 million on this hotel, on the 209-room hotel, and that's crazy. That's $300 and some odd dollars, $309 or something per key. Our rate in the second poorest city with the second highest crime rate we'll never see 300 and some dollars. It'll never happen. But we're already stabilized. We're already refinancing. Right now, we're going through refinancing. It should close up. Should have closed up a month ago, but it'll close. Many hotels open up. They build a hotel this size for $20 billion, $25 billion, and they're never going to be stabilized because they're always running it for the wrong reason. They forgot. They forgot why we're here.
Isn't that a great clip of Craig Poole? And speaking of which, we've got him right here on the show. Craig, it just warms my heart to have you on the show with us.
I'm honored to be here. You guys are awesome.
Oh, well, thank you. When I say that you really were the inspiration for us that validated that the way that we think is actually practical and exists in real life, and it's not just what we've been told by our senior leaders our entire careers, that it's impractical, that you can't do it, that it's just all fake. You prove that you're doing it every day and are actually more successful than everybody else. So with that being said, I want to start by asking you, on that sentiment, when the DoubleTree opened, you were operating with a traditional management company, one of the other guys. And you've recently established Redding Hospitality as your own management company to oversee the operations of your hotel. Why not just stick with one of the traditional management companies? Why did you move into that space to start your own company?
Well, that's a great question. So I want to put this on the table because I always want to be transparent. You asked through me 3 questions, and I wrote down some answers so I stay on focus because I can get off focus quickly. So on this one question, I wrote 7 points. And the first point was, and the most important one, is the management company didn't believe in our project or the community, so we were going to fail. And that's a problem with management companies. They have to believe in your project. If you own a hotel, or if you're if you're in a management hotel, and the company doesn't believe in the project, then they don't believe in you. And they won't believe in the community. We built a hotel in the second poorest city with the second highest crime rate. They said it would fail. So we started our own company and said, let's prove them wrong. And we did. We're far from failing. We're still making money in the pandemic. You go figure it out. We would have lost money. They wouldn't have followed the procedure. And we built the hotel for a purpose. Not to make a lot of money. If we want to make enough money that we could survive and pay the bills, and to make a contribution to the community. But what we really want to do is we want to do the inequalities properly. We wanted to bring people back. And to do purposeful work, you have to work at the point of impact. In the second poorest city, the second highest crime rate. So we hired people walk to work. We hired people with prison records. But what we did is we hired people. We didn't hire their past, we hired their future. And we saw people as, where can we get you to? How can we improve your housing? How can we improve what you eat? How can we improve your diet? How can we improve your health and your housing? And today we're working on a bigger project with that now. Now the whole community has joined the purpose. They have integrity. They're, like you said, and one of your, as you were talking about being abandoned, forgotten, disappointed, lost. Same thing with people in a community. We worked in a place where people they were marginalized, and they felt it and they lived it, just like people in a hotel would live. So we wanted to be purposeful, and we did. And we were committed to that and committed to people, not to anything else but people. And that grew this business that did very, very well. And it's doing well again. We're actually going to take another business over shortly.
So while the entire industry is collapsing right now, and a recent AHLA survey says that in 6 more months without any aid, 71% of hotels will be lost to their current owners. Meanwhile, you're acquiring other businesses, expanding, profiting, bringing your teams back, driving rate and market share. And your management company that you started with told you would fail. And now look at you guys.
Yeah, it's a good story.
Hospitality works.
Say that one more time.
It just goes to show that hospitality works. You know, while everyone else is failing, you guys are succeeding.
Sure. So we talk about being management companies. Some are on the business of hospitality, meaning they're a corporation running a hotel. And some people like us and other companies, they work in the business of hospitality, which you're describing as your HospitalityMD. You're working in it. It's a whole different process, a whole different way of thinking, a whole different way of managing, because you're managing inside the heartbeat, the pulse of it. Where if you're on it, you're just managing a business. It could be anything. You might as well go run a Ferris wheel somewhere. It doesn't make any sense. It's too mechanical, and we're not mechanical people. We're organic people.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I definitely see the need, as did you and Albert Boskov and the rest of your team saw the need. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but had you built this hotel in Reading and you continued to run it like with a traditional management company or whatever, they said it would fail, they would have made it fail just because they never believed
it would have failed. It would have failed because we build a business around transformational purpose. A hotel company, the hotel company that was going to be there, was a transactional purpose. Totally different. They don't blend. And I can see a transactional business somewhere out there. Some of these, maybe some hotels that, like along a turnpike, maybe they might be transactional because they're going to get business. But when you're in an inner city, when you're in a place that's big, like, we also have 24,000 or 27,000 square foot of banquet space. And you've got to be transformational. So you can have a great company, and maybe they survived before, but they're not going to survive coming out of the transactional this time. They're going to have to be transformational because people want transformation. That's all part of it now. That's built into the.
Right. That leads me to my next question, because I feel like we're on the same wavelength with this. So why don't you tell us your predictions for the future of the hotel industry in regards to the hotels that are being run?
Yeah.
Like any other business.
Well, let me tell you 2 companies that are going to make it, who I watch. and I follow them. One is Hilton, Chris Nassetta. He's a great example. People should follow what he does. He shows up at the point of impact. He cares about people. He does, and we're part of Hilton. And this is not a plug for Hilton. This is a plug. This is a man that's transformational. This is a man that gets it. He brought Hilton back in the 2008, and he'll bring it back again because he has his leadership. His leadership is follow me. I'm Chris Nassetta. Follow me, and I will be behind you. That's what he does. He's behind everybody, and that's what I do. Now I'm going to tell you another person, and I don't know him, but his name is Chris Green, and I follow him with Chesapeake Hospitality. I think that's the name. If you look at LinkedIn and follow him, he's out there meeting people, talking to people. I don't know how he operates a hotel. I only can watch from the outside. But I watch people. If I like their LinkedIn, if I like how they're engaging, if they're humble, I believe that their businesses will survive. The businesses that won't survive are businesses that are run by asset managers. They're not going to survive, or they may. I don't think so. I think because there's no humility there, there's no humbleness there, there's no hospitality there. It's all mechanical, drive the profit to here. They don't know that people are people. They forgot. They don't treat people with people. They cause disruption. I get that what their purpose is. But if you have a great management style, people will take care of the asset. The asset's going to grow. Your business is going to grow. If they disturb it, and they turn it upside down, which I think that'll happen. A lot of companies may or may not do this, but I think they will. There's a saying, it's easier to paddle canoe in calm waters. So if they're causing disruption over a panic, they're going to, the canoe's going to tip, and they're going to fire people, and there's going to be turnover until they finally get what they want for a short term, and then the waters will get stirred up again. But you got to keep the waters calm to float the canoe in it. That's what you got to do, and I don't know if they're going to do it. So they have to be the change they want to see. If they want to survive, my opinion, this is just my opinion, is they need to come in a calm manner. They need to recognize that people are people, and they need to recognize, and maybe companies need to recognize that, like a poker hand. I don't play poker, but I understand it. If you have a bad hand, you know when to fold. You don't keep playing it. So it's the same thing with business. If you have a management company, they did good, and they did fine through this great few years that we've had. But if they're not a great management company, they might not be a great management company for the new future.
Right. Everybody did good during those key.
Right. You might have to fire the management company. And I'm not saying to do that, but I would put people on notice because they're not going to survive, and it's a shame. I need other hotels to survive because that's how we all move our game. My fear is that people are going to retreat, and once you retreat, you're done. We don't retreat. I'm a non-retreater. I move forward. We've moved forward for this whole thing. And if people go out of business, that's their fault. But it hurts us also because we need the competition. So,
and as an industry, right, it benefits everybody if we can all come back together and we can all build each other up, rather than it being like a them against us or comp set battles. If we all come back together and we all care, it'll build everybody's business back up. And I definitely think that leading with hospitality is the only answer.
Authentic hospitality.
Right.
It's gotta be authentic. The guests do not want non-authentic. Listen, you could go on my TripAdvisor and we're always up there pretty high. Or if you wish you could see the SALT scores, they're very high. People will tell us that it's the happiest place, the best place. They shouldn't be. Everybody should have a happy place, the best place. It shouldn't just be us. We're just people leading people to create great experiences. That's the other thing. They need to be coming back, I believe. It's all about experiences now. Like an asset manager might be saying, what great experiences are you creating? What great memorable moments are you creating? Because if you're not going to be making any cash, because they're going to go somewhere else, and they're not going to be able to raise the rates, and they're not going to have everything goes awry.
And I, would say that by cut, reduced meals and all that, how are you going to create a good experience if you have nothing?
Sure, that's my fear, is that people will go back to status quo. And status quo might have been draining the hotel of cash. It might have been not giving people enough tools. It might have been understaffed hotels. We didn't understaff hotels in the 60s and 70s. We did really well. They're understaffed. People were worked to death. If they go back at status quo, people are already tired. They're worked to death. The hotels are going to struggle. So the hotel company, who's ever leading them, and that's why I mentioned Chris Nassetta and Chris Green, is because they're leading it, not burning people out. I can see that. Just on following them on LinkedIn, I can see that. And I think, okay, those hotels are going to survive. They're going to do well. They're going to bring back good people. They're going to most likely, I believe, they're going to come back and they're going to staff it better. So people that are burned out aren't as burned out anymore, and let them catch a breath and let the customer have a greater experience, because you got to start over again. But if you go back and you tighten it up right away and you burn out people like they were doing, they're going to have a hard time. It's going to be rough. And people like me are to take their business. I'll take all I can.
It's prolonging the recovery for everybody at that point. That short-term.
But everybody needs money, but you're not going to get it by dragging people through the mud.
Well, with that being said, I do want to leave you with one final question here. So, and by the way, for anybody listening, if you do have a question for Craig, definitely let us know in the comments and we'll be sure to ask him. For you, if you have one message you could give to the hotel industry establishment, right? The status quo, the people who want to keep running their hotels solely as real estate investments, what would you tell them right now? What would your message be?
Can I give you two?
Yes, please.
Okay. My first message is a reminder that they're nice buildings that you build. Most of the hotels are really nice right now that are out there, but they need a heartbeat and they need a pulse and they need a personality. They were okay running without a heartbeat and a pulse, but you got to put the heartbeat and pulse back in. That's why it was built, not just to make it's not going to just make cash anymore unless there's a heartbeat and pulse. I believe that on my heart. And the other thing is, and I wrote this down, and C.S. Lewis said, it's a quote from C.S. Lewis. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. So I like that for this.
I love that.
You can't change what happened, but you can change what it's looked at the ending. That's a hard thing. Change is a hard thing to do. Mostly if I made my money on it, I built my big house out of it, I bought my boat out of it, I've lived off of this. And it's hard for an owner or a management company that makes a lot of money or whoever to change, because this is what they became. But it's not going to work. So you have an opportunity to change, and to be the change you want to see. Gandhi said it, be the change you want to see. So you have to become that change, and it's become your actions. It's how you treat it. It's your message to the banks. It's your message to employees, to the community. You have to recommit to that. for the ones that aren't doing it right. For the ones that are doing it right, they're going to do great. They're going to come back great. I don't know if there's enough of them. That's my issue. I think the world changed in the last 30 years. I've been in this business 57 years. In the last 30 years, it's changed significantly to shareholder value and not human inequities and human profits and humanizing them. You know, we have a podcast that we do called Humanizing Profit, because that's what it's about. It's giving people a chance to persevere and to be resilient and to be transactional, to be innovative, and have opportunities for people. If you put all those scrambles together, that says profit. But I'm promoting you, not me. But I also want to plug the two of you. You came in and you did exactly what you said. You were there for 2 or 3 weeks. You were transactional with everybody that worked for us. You left a very detailed report of good and bad that you saw. It was excellently written, and you left an impact. When you left there, it was like a family member leaving there. And I would highly recommend you. And I told you that if we do more, I plan on stealing you, because you're the kind of people that I would like to work with and be with and leave a legacy with. But we appreciate you. You did a great job with us. And it was just our goal was to help you. We never did anything to help ourselves. And I think and I guess that's how I'll wrap it up. Hospitality is selflessness. It's not selfishness. And watch the companies that are selfless. Watch your conversation, which is selfless. Watch Christine's conversation, which is selfless. It's all selflessness. And through selflessness, there's joy beyond measure. Through selfishness, there's anger. So if we can get hospitality back into a culture of selflessness, which it's supposed to be, and it is to some and not to others, but the leadership needs, and the owner needs to realize it's a selfless business we're in. It always has been. We're servants. That's what we do. The better you do it, the better you are. And when you came in, you were servants to us. You know, you've worked with us, right, alongside everybody. So,
well, Craig, I thank you. I will, honest to God, going and being at your hotel was the #1 best experience I've ever had in my entire life. And I really look forward to not only coming back. I think the next time I see you will be when we come back to screen this full documentary for you guys that we made. We want everybody, I want you and your team who were vulnerable with us and welcomed us to be the first people to see it together as a family. And you can watch it and bond over it together. So that'll be the next time that we see you.
Well, thank you.
But truly,
thanks for doing this and inviting me.
Absolutely. Now, do you have a moment? We do have a couple questions from our.
Okay, sure.
So first of all, from actually my mom, she said, not a question, but Craig is a breath of fresh air in this selfish world right now. You give the world hope.
Oh, so thank you.
You're making an impact there. Now, a question from our good friend Katerina. So actually, maybe not a question. She said, it's lovely to hear the way Craig speaks about the role of hospitality in community. Our communities need us and our empathy, especially now. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Ahmed Achoa actually has a question. So,
okay,
what inspires you to help the community you live in? You say that you want to make a difference, but is there something that gave you this inspiration to begin with?
Well, I think it's just in me. I've always saw leadership as a job where you make people's lives better. And I had a good life leading people and businesses that I've had. And I particularly like to work in inner cities. I like to work in bad in cities that have been hurt, because those people need to be lifted up. And if you have the gift to do that, you should do it. And I have a gift that gives me joy to use. So that selfishly, I get a lot of joy by doing it. But plus, I get to see people grow and become successful that may never have been. People have been in prison for 10 years, 12 years, 20 years, becoming managers and buying homes. How much better can it get? People's families being reunited, people's going to college again, people getting citizenship. When you see the joy, it's better than money. But the money comes. You don't do it for money. You do it because you can. And then everything follows that. And that's just how my life has been. And I've had a great life, and I want other people to have it. But I want people that never had an opportunity to have a great life too. Probably more important.
I do want to say that what you do for the community echoes what you do in your hotel in terms of long term versus short term. Rather than, okay, let's give everybody who's impoverished in the community food stamps just to feed them right now, or we're just going to put them on welfare. And granted, obviously there's a certain need for those programs, no dispute, but what you do is you take those people and you give them a hand out of poverty by 750 credit score, feeding them good food and fixing their brain and their mindset, instilling self-esteem, the care closet, all these things, which we will explain in our documentary film and also is explained in our podcast with you, is long-term success for the community. And it's unique and it's special. And, again, we just love you, Craig. Thank you so much for joining us, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll
as a community prospers, we prosper. If it doesn't prosper, we don't. So it just makes sense. And the people support it. But thanks. I appreciate it. Now I'm gonna go drink some of that pineapple juice that Christine was drinking. I need to get that energy that she has. And I don't know where she gets that pineapple juice, but I'm going to drink a few sips so I don't have a heart attack.
You and me both, my friend. Yeah, she always energizes me. Well, Craig, thank you again so much.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Anytime.
And if anybody wants to connect with me, they're more than welcome to do it on Facebook or LinkedIn.
Yes. Thank you for reminding me, Craig. Connect LinkedIn, Facebook. We'll put your information here when we share the documentary trailer with everybody after this stream is over, and we'll make sure that everybody follows Craig. So thank you so much, Craig.
Okay, thanks, Craig.
I can't hear you. Oh, okay. So thank you guys for watching. We know it's been a long stream, and I appreciate you guys staying with us through the duration. But before we go, I wanted to provide some final sentiments of gratitude for those who have helped us along our journey. So number one is going to be Juan Leyva. He's the newly appointed Vice President of Operations for Oxford Hotels and Resorts. Now, Juan was actually invited to be on today's show. He was going to be our third guest. Unfortunately for us, he couldn't make it. He's actually opening the Rand Tower Hotel, which is a tribute portfolio collection in Minneapolis. It actually opened yesterday. So everybody go check out the Rand Hotel and Tower. I know under Juan's leadership, it's going to be a great property. The place looks beautiful. Secondly, we would not be able to even present our company to you if it weren't for TJ Fulfer, who is the founder of APOF Creative. TJ designed our logo, redesigned it, and was able to, he got it on the first try. He really understood what we were looking for, and also designed our website and did an amazing job. TJ's goal is to quit his 9-to-5 job and focus on APOF Creative full time. So if you need any logo work, website, anything creative, please let us know. And TJ, in addition, was beyond hospitable to work with. And we value that more than anything. So not only is he talented, but he's hospitable, and he made a huge difference in our business. So we thank you, TJ. And we'd also like to thank Alexandra Lewis. Alex selflessly and artfully crafted every single word of copywriting for our website. We gave her just rough ideas and just a jumble of different ideas and thoughts that were, based on our experience with Craig and working in hotels. And we gave it to her, and she was able to take it and make it beautiful. So that mission statement we showed you, every word on our website is artfully done by Alexandra. She has been a beacon and resource for all things communications and PR. She's also open for freelance work right now, so let us know if you need anything, and we will certainly funnel you to Alexandra. Lastly, we want to thank all of you. For anybody who's listened to a podcast episode, engaged with our content, or cares enough to even be here and listening to us right now, thank you. We can't do it without you. This industry means everything to us, and it's because of each and every one of you. So thank you. We look forward to reimagining hospitality together with you. Now, remember, right after this stream, tune into our social media accounts where we will have the full trailer that we presented to you earlier available to rewatch and to share. And in doing so, by liking it, sharing it, and commenting on it using the hashtags Point of Impact and hashtag Hospitality is Everyone's Business, you'll be entered into a drawing to win a signed copy of Christine Trippi's Yes is the Answer, along with a 15-minute coaching call with Christine where she will reveal her 5 steps to sweet results. That is all we have for you guys. Thank you so much, and have a hospitable day.